Grantdenyer now.
It's grantdenyer.
The gold lady this year. Oh my God, it's grantdenyer.
And our mom, chezzidenyer. She's really crazy.
It's all true.
It's All True, the podcast with Grant and chezzidenyer.
Ho-ho! Yeah! Do we have a big one for you today? Yo! There's for a number of reasons. Because today, in the house, in the flesh, not live from central Queensland, but live from our office, it's the great man, Georgesargent!
Oh, yeah! It's so good to be here, guys. We're actually in the same room. Crystal clear audio, not that funny Zoom stuff with that we're used to.
I know, and thank you for putting some pants on today. I really appreciate it. No, it's not your preferred form of broadcasting.
Well, during the opener, I actually took them back off, so
all right,
we're good to go. Back to normal.
If that's what we're doing, I'm going with it.
Absolutely.
We have to say that we had a couple of technological, little hiccups, but when we were setting up, and George, we've sat him underneath a downlight. And so he looks like he's an angel.
He's got this beautiful glow.
I'm actually 3 doors down right now. I'm not even in the same room.
But you can tell that you're in the same room because our eye line is really weird, isn't it?
I noticed that you came in here with a special sports bag, carrying your microphone and computer equipment. Is that sports bag? Is that the one that we've been talking about over the last couple of weeks of this podcast?
That is the infamous Nike bag that these microphones that you're talking into have also been in that bag. So
does that explain why you're now talking into a dildo?
With a mic cover over it to disguise it? Absolutely.
That's the famous bag.
That is the bag.
That you hid, that your stash of sex toys that you won at some sort of freaky deaky party with your friends.
Mm-hmm. That's the bag.
That you hid from your mum, that's the bag.
I gave it a wash. Plenty of Glen 20 has gone over it.
Wow.
Oh, Chezzy, are you sure you want to touch it?
Oh, geez, don't wave one of those NCIS black lights over it, whatever you do.
I just want to show.
Oh, get it away from me. Don't touch me.
We're going to show the symbol as well. It was a classic Nike bag. Not sponsored, but
no.
They were hidden down that little side pocket right there.
Oh, wow. Well, that's excellent.
Is that why it's vibrating?
Did you have problems like getting through airport security, like where they go, excuse me, sir, your bag seems to be vibrating?
I had to cancel my tickets and had to drive 18 hours down here to the studio. And that's it. I'm only coming down just for this podcast and coming back up.
That is so good. What a liar, because you just told us, I have to look in the computer because it's really weird. I have to look at you there. You just
look at him, he's right there.
Yeah, I know.
He's
but
literally 1 foot away from you.
But then the people who watch the YouTube channel will be.
It's not going to freak them out. There's only 3 people who watch the YouTube channel.
And it's
There's
us.
not.
It's the people that are here right now.
Our last video had like 4,000 views.
Look at him in the face.
Okay.
I'm here.
George just told us that it was his 21st birthday.
21, baby. Feels good.
Happy birthday.
Thank you so much.
I've been cheering so much I've lost my voice.
I feel like 45 though. Really? Honestly.
Because you're hanging out with
You're
us.
working too hard, or we're 45 and we're influencing your life?
After the 4 days of partying, I feel like 45 now.
Oh, so what did you do?
Hang on. Should we present him with his present now?
Absolutely.
Here he
What
is.
have we got?
George, let's get this out of the cupboard.
Oh, thank you. You didn't have to do a present for me.
Here is your very own butt plug.
Thank you
Add it
so
to the
much.
collection, big fella.
That's great. 21. Can't wait till 30.
Our kids are next door. They'll be listening.
Well,
They're probably out there fighting.
You know what George had to do? George, when he came home to visit Mum made him sit down and re-listen the episode that she was on so they could do it together as a beautiful family. George, how was that experience?
So I think actually doing the chat itself on air was way more easier than listening back to it. She thought, oh, this would be a nice family thing. We were driving into town to go and watch Top Gun Maverick. Great film, by the way.
Joking?
I'm not even kidding. So instead of listening to like music, we decided to listen to Busted by George's Mum on It's All True.
That is so funny.
It was 2 trips worth and it was so awkward. We touched on some really weird stuff.
Bro,
in that episode.
we went everywhere in that podcast.
We did.
with my mum.
I know. And I thought because she wasn't in the room and she was just on the line, I kind of felt like I could kind of just go there and just have some fun. And you rolled with it, which is nice. I never did it with the intention that you'd have to sit down and listen to it with her.
On my holiday as well. How do you think it would go if she was actually in the room right now? Or would it be a different dynamic?
Hi, Mrs. Sargent. How are you? My name's Grant.
He'd be really well behaved. I know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny the
power
things
of
that
the
you can
internet.
do when that person's not in the room. So I apologise that you had to. What was her thoughts listening back to it? Did she think it went well?
She got off the phone and thought, what have I done? I think I've sort of ruined my mothering career after speaking to these guys. And I said, no, Mum, you did a really good job. And we all discussed, like, she's not really in media. She's a very, very softly spoken lady.
She certainly doesn't talk about the topics that we spoke about in that podcast.
No, blow up dolls and dildos and all that stuff. Oh, my God. It never even probably crossed her mind. She probably learnt what those things were.
She was so good. She was so good. And there were so many comments from people when we put the promo up saying what a beautiful... Oh, sorry, am I too far away?
I went more Lisa content and I don't know about that.
Yeah,
We should-
so sweet. I feel bad for anyone who's just tuned in, though. Like, if you're maybe new to the podcast, maybe the last podcast, the last couple have been your first ones.
You'd be thinking, what the hell?
Yeah, what the hell's going on?
with these people?
What are they talking about, these loose units?
I think that even first episode in, I'd felt sorry for anybody listening. Like,
You should have written the first review. I'm sorry here on from anyone who has to listen to this drivel. Look, the sex toys was just a gag. He did go to a party. There was a piñata, and he hit the piñata with all his might and outpoured a bunch of sex.
With all his might.
so many.
He was so
He
excited.
didn't know they were in there, but he was the rightful now winner of them, and therefore he took them home. Didn't want to be rude.
And before I went up to, far north Queensland, I was a respectful journalist.
A school captain?
A school captain even.
Ducks of the school?
Not quite, but we'll say that for now.
Okay, ducks potentially could have been, in hindsight, ducks of the school.
Exactly. I was
Musician?
a good kid.
Critically acclaimed.
Christian?
Yep, Christian boy.
I don't
Absolutely. I was Christian.
Well, you
yeah,
went to a
Catholic
Christian school? Yeah.
And I came back a sex pest.
Yep.
Since being on your podcast. But I've been down at home for a couple of weeks, and you bump into people that you haven't seen in
no.
ages.
Oh, God.
Old school teachers,
School
ex-students,
teachers?
and they look at you like, what has happened?
What has happened to this boy? And they all say, grantdenyer.
No, they don't.
They do. Every single one of them says,
Look,
shake
I've
their
done
head,
this
they're like,
only
"Grantdenyer."
twice since we've started the podcast, and we're in season, I don't know, what season are we in? 4?
Towards the pointy
This
end
will
as
be
well.
interesting. What have you done twice since we started?
Only twice in this podcast have I ever said, I'm actually just joking. He's a really nice boy. And none of these things that we say are actually true. None of these things I say are actually true. He's only young. I like having fun with him. He takes it in good jest. And he's not... You said sex pest. They're your words. They made me laugh. I feel like I need to, as a responsible member of this team... to let you off the hook, say he's definitely not a sex pest. It's only been just for shits and giggles that
Well,
we've
we
said all
actually
these
don't
things.
know.
It's good banter.
We don't-
It's all true banter,
Bants.
we'll call it.
Good bants.
All right. Reviews.
Oh.
I've got one here from Vincent. Black Panther. G'day, Chezzy, Grant, and George. Love your show. Listen to them when I'm in my truck. Your story on the Black Panthers. When my stepdad was kids down at Mornington during the Second World War, he said he can remember the Americans rocking up to the Mornington Pier, getting off ships and walking along with Black Panthers. He also said he never saw the Black Panthers go back on the ships when they left Mornington. Cheers. Keep up the good work.
Well, that's
Vinny.
pretty conclusive
Isn't it?
evidence.
Yeah.
So he saw them get on,
Yeah. But
get them off, but not back on when they left.
Mm-hmm.
That's science for you.
That's unreal. So they're out there. I had a few voice messages come through too, which we might even pop into this podcast with a bit of post-magic or post-production magic. But
Okay, here's one now. Wow.
That was incredible, right?
Wow.
They're out there, man.
Jeez, I hope you remember to insert that because I just paused for no reason if you didn't. But
Oh my God.
I like hearing it. And don't forget, when you leave these reviews, it does also help other people find this podcast. So you don't have to tell them.
Podcast. It's a podcast.
Oh, come and find the podcast. Yeah, I just got off the ship from Africa with my panther. Anybody know where there's a good podcast around here?
I just heard 18 accents in there.
Are you an African leprechaun?
Yes, to be sure. Getting my panther out going for a pint. Goodness. Here's... Don't know what happened to me. Just had a stroke. Here's another review for our podcast. So true. This is from Shazza18. Love it. I can't get enough of the podcast. When I needed a little bit of a giggle, I listened to Chezzy and Grant talking about their life together, pre-kids, post-kids, and before they met. Full of fun and hilarity, always leaves me with a smile. George has the best voice, and for someone so young, he is wise beyond his years. Oh, this is good.
Thank you.
Nice.
The latest episode about the Black Panther, I was so invested listening to your guest speaker, Ben. I didn't know there was sightings in the Bathurst region. Sure is. I've seen them. My mother-in-law said she saw a big cat in Victoria near the Grampians back in the 70s and 80s.
Is that near Mornington?
Grampians is up in the hills areas, so I don't know, somewhere around there. Thanks for sharing and keeping the episodes coming. I wonder what you'll talk about next.
We wonder that every single day too.
I literally have no idea what we're saying when I press record. So.
All right. Georgie, you've got
Wee
it.
Hill has sent in a review. Great listening, Grant and Chezzy. You are a remarkable couple. Your podcast is simply wonderful, listening, funny, informative, heartfelt and entertaining. I laugh and cry with you each and every episode. Don't change. Keep up the wonderful banter. You change people's lives.
Oh, that's nice.
Wow, that is so nice. Grant's just
nice.
played around with our computer and now we've lost you, George.
Oh, where's-
Press enter. Oh my gosh, this is just...
Hey, mate, I just forgot to put the computer on silent. You don't want to hear those random dings of emails coming through.
That's right. And you know, all this Panther chat has got me thinking that I actually have been looking for this Black Panther since the last episode.
Oh my
And
gosh, you're not going to find it.
I want you to prepare. Well, let me show you this.
Show us what?
Show us what?
I have got a video
Is that what
No, you
of
did not.
a Black Panther, or what I think is a Black Panther.
Where'd you get this
Seen
video
where?
from?
This is about 15 minutes away from where you guys live, sort of in the Bathurst region.
When?
This is on Sunday at 12:22 p.m. A few days ago.
What?
You ready? Brace
Yes.
yourselves.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Be good. Wow, it's so
Lifelike.
lifelike.
It's massive too.
Wow, it's bigger than I thought it would be.
Look at that.
Oh wow, it looks very much. Look at it growl.
It's got a big bum too, eh?
That is
Oh
not.
my
That is not. That's not a big cat. That's a sex kitten. That's what that is.
You
And
can't
it's in
tell
my
me-
sister's house.
Whoa!
Oh my gosh, you can't tell me that your parents aren't worried about you now.
Oh, everybody's worried.
For those who aren't watching on YouTube,
Well, you're just going to insert that.
yeah, but mate,
What a sighting.
it was beautiful. It was a wonderful display. It was George under a black blanket, prowling around on the floor doing these.
You're taking the
Claws.
mickey, aren't you? Because I really saw it.
My mum actually saw a big black cat before I even told her that we were going to release an episode about the Black Panther.
Interesting.
And I was sitting there
Really?
going, this is a classic because we're about to put an episode out about the Black Panther and you have just seen a big black cat in the Blaney area.
No way. Right, well, we
What
may
she
need
did recently,
to
did she?
Like quite recently.
Oh wow!
we may need to do a follow-up episode on that. But hold on, we've got a guest for today.
Okay.
So we need to get on to today's topic. Sorry, because we're running a bit late. So, today. Okay.
Oh, sorry, this is great. We get to do intros in person now.
I know. Are you going to
Just sit back and enjoy it. In fact, you can handle this one.
I've always wanted to be in the room with an intro.
Right.
All right, everyone.
So, okay.
Here she goes. Here she goes.
Thank you. Grant keeps having the same dream over and over, and he wakes up feeling really exhausted in the morning. So I thought,
And wet in the crutch area. No, it's
not
that
that
kind
kind of dream.
I'm not 15.
So I looked up who was Australia's leading dream expert, and I contacted her, and she's agreed to come on and talk to Grant about his recurring dream.
We're doing crazy dreams.
Crazy dreams.
And what they mean?
Yeah.
I love this.
I know.
What's
I
her
thought
name?
you'd be on it. Jane Teresa Anderson. Let's ring her because she's
Jane Teresa Anderson. Oh, there she is.
Hello, Chezzy.
Hi, Jane. I'm so sorry. We're running a little bit late because we had a few technical issues, but we're all right to go now. So we are recording. Welcome to the It's All True podcast.
G'day, Jane.
Thank you very much. Hello, Grant. Hello, George.
Oh, it's lovely to have you on board. Thanks for making your time. When Chezzy proposed this as a topic, I was like, yes, please. Before we get started, is this something that you do professionally that people can find you somewhere? Is it a website? Is it your social media accounts? Do you have a book out?
Yes. Oh, all of the above. I've been doing this for 30 years now, and my main website is janeteresa.com, and I have 7 books out.
Whoa.
Holy
And
smoke.
I have a podcast show that's been going for 9 years as well.
What's that called?
It's called The Dream Show with Jane Teresa Anderson.
Do you know
Brilliant.
you've written more books than I've read in my life? So well done to you.
Yeah, but
Thank you.
maybe, Grant, if you harness the power of your dreams, you may be able to sit down and actually focus long enough to write a book.
I'm just daydreaming now.
No.
So is that the same thing?
All right. So, Jane, Grant has had, well, you've had a number of dreams over the years, haven't you?
Yeah, I go through various stages. But before we get into my personal one, if that's okay, dreams. A dream. What are dreams? Why do we have dreams? And do they ever mean anything?
They always mean something, and some dreams are more meaningful than others. So what's happening when you go to sleep, your dreaming mind or your dreaming brain are basically processing your experiences of the last couple of days, but they're processing both your conscious experiences and your unconscious experiences to try to make sense of the world. So in an ideal world, you wake up from a dream, and whether or not you understand the dream, your brain or your mind has thought these things out, taken new experiences on board, and sometimes maybe had a bit of a shift of perspective to enable you to deal better with your life or get more out of life. The problem is that most people would say, yeah, but my dreams don't look like what I was doing in the last couple of days. And the reason for that is that the part of your brain, the prefrontal cortex, which is involved in being sensible and being logical and making moral judgments and keeping you saying the right things, that part of your brain is pretty asleep, and it's left to the rest of your brain to paint a picture of all the stuff that you're processing. So when you learn how to interpret your dreams, you learn how to kind of look into this really amazing, surreal picture of the dream and work out from that what your mindset is and how your mindset is affecting the way that you experience your life.
Whoa.
So you can take a
cool.
stock take of your current mental status by analysing your dreams.
Yeah, that's right. Your current mental and emotional and physical sometimes status. Exactly so, yeah. And when your dreams are doing that processing of the last 1 to 2 days, what they also do is compare that to similar experiences you've had way in the past, which is why sometimes we can get bits and pieces of our past in our dream.
Wow.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
So shall I explain the dream that I have?
I think so.
I've had this for a lot of my life, and I don't know when it comes in or why it comes in, but I have this same reoccurring theme where I used to race go-karts as a kid. And so I always have this reoccurring thing where I'm always running late and I'm highly stressed, and I know that the race is about to begin without me, and I haven't either even got to the track yet or got my stuff sorted. I'm unorganized, and it makes me it's quite emotionally traumatic in the dream. And I would get it every couple of months, I reckon, and it's the same thing. Any idea why?
Yes, lots. Basically, also, when you have a recurring dream or a recurring dream theme, because we know that our dreams are basically processing the 1 or 2 days before, with a recurring dream, every time you have it, you can think, hang on a minute, this is to do with my last 1 or 2 days. And eventually, after you've looked back, each time you have this dream, you begin to identify, that's it, that's what's happening in the day or two before I always have this dream. But probably what's happening there, Grant, is that you're probably always on time in waking life, or more or less, and probably usually get everything right. But this dream will come up when you're worried about that. So it's not about being late. It's about having everything right. Being prepared. So it's probably your unconscious mind which is saying, yeah, but what if, what if you're late? What if you're not doing things properly? It's often the dream of a perfectionist, and someone that wants to get everything just so, yeah. And so it's really going through that. What if you failed? What if you didn't turn up? What if things weren't in place? What would it mean? So often when you look at the other details of the dream, you can pick out from that usually things from your childhood or things from a belief that you've learned as a child or as a young adult, which have brought you to a position of thinking, I've got to get everything right. I've got to make a good show. This has got to look good. And because your experience was with go-karts, your dreaming brain has probably picked that symbol. It's like, yep, that's my go-to go-kart symbol for whenever I'm in this predicament.
That makes sense, because when you said perfectionist, I was like, that is me to a T. Everything has to be right and I have to do everything perfectly. And I do remember when I was a kid of struggling to be able to get to the racetrack because I was only a kid and I had to depend on someone else that was a friend of my mum's to pick me up at 6 a.m. or 5 a.m. in the morning to take me to the racetrack, and they'd leave me there and I'd do my racing and get back. So I guess it comes back to this, maybe not a trauma, but at least an early age trigger where I was worried that I was dependent on others and I couldn't put my best foot forward. And maybe that's a fear as an adult.
Absolutely. I was just going to say that the moment you described that dependency there. And it probably had the opposite effect of making you try to be as independent as you can whenever you do anything so that you're not reliant on other people.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's exactly what I've done.
You've just interpreted your own dream, Grant.
Yeah, and can everyone do that? Can everyone?
Absolutely, yeah.
Jane, you're amazing.
Clues and you're off.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm cured.
See, I don't
You
ever.
don't need to read my book. You've absorbed it.
I don't ever have a dream where I'm running late. I think that's because I am always running late, so it's not a big deal to me.
It's your norm.
Because I'm not a perfectionist.
Do you have dreams when you're on time?
Yeah.
No, but I often have dreams where there's a lot of snakes in my dreams.
Ooh, I go through periods of that too. What do snakes mean?
Yeah.
So you can't take a dream dictionary approach. Snakes doesn't mean the same for everyone. These are our own personal symbols.
Right.
But quite often we have animals in our dreams when our dreams are processing sometimes our instincts, and our dreaming brain to go, instinct, give me an animal that shows this kind of instinct. I know, a snake or a dog or a bear or whatever it is that can represent our instincts. But also animals can come up in our dreams when it's such deep unconscious stuff that if we were dreaming about stuff we were slightly more aware of, we'd probably put people into our dreams. But animals, it comes down to that sort of basic instinct. So if I ask you, Chezzy,
Yes.
What's the personality of a snake?
Quiet, secretive, hidden.
Poisonous?
Yeah, that's
No.
yeah. No, because Grant, poisonous would be would come up if it was your dream.
Yeah.
So Chezzy, you've got quiet, secretive, and hidden. So it's possible that when you dream of snakes, you're dreaming or trying to process something in the last couple of days, where either you have felt, there's something secretive, there's something hidden going on, I'm not really comfortable about this, or where you have been quiet and secretive and hidden. But overall, that snake is representing the issue of secretive, hidden. And so whatever else happens in the dream is, you can then pinpoint what it is. So if you, for example, were running from the snake, I've got to get away from the snake.
I'm
you may
laughing
be not wanting...
But because of a dream that I had while we were at the snow, Dr. Phil turned up and he was making advances to me.
Dr. Phil was hitting on you in your dream?
He had the pet snakes. That's a random.
This feels very sexual.
Dr. Phil's python.
So, yeah, it could be sexual if that's your particular association with. But if I ask you, because I don't know whether Dr. Phil will be listening, but what would be your personality words for Dr. Phil?
Wise and look after you, and I don't know.
Yeah, you love snakes, so I think you would look at snakes very differently than I would, as you did mention.
And you also feel differently about Dr. Phil.
Yeah, I don't think he's ever touched me in my dreams.
He didn't touch me. It was just a random, yeah.
Yeah, so Chezzy, what you've probably got there is, Dr. Phil representing, as you say, wise, a kind of wisdom, maybe your own wisdom that you maybe at the time of the dream wanted to get a bit more in touch with.
Right.
And it's maybe something that you see as secretive and hidden, something that you maybe want to, it's almost like I've got this snake which represents my wisdom and I'm not sure whether to sort of bring it out to show to everybody or not. Should I keep it secret and hidden, or should I bring this thing out into the world? Something like that. Again,
That
we
makes
look
a
at the
lot of
whole
sense.
dream and really find out, oh, good.
Because I'm very wise,
what's your
but I
secret?
hold it close to my chest because I don't want to make
Have you got
anyone feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You got a nasty secret in there that you need to let out?
No, you just missed that. I'm very wise, but I don't like to broadcast how wise I am.
That's true.
Sure enough. Hey,
Yeah, and I like that because it makes you realise that, and then you have the decision. Dreams don't tell you what to do, but they show you more about yourself, so that you can then say, "Oh, yeah, that's true. I acknowledge that. I'm wise, but I don't really always want other people to know it because whatever." And knowing that, you can then say, "Yeah, well, I'm happy with myself the way that I am," or, "Well, what's holding me back? What's really holding me back?" And then you might find in your dream why you want to hold your wisdom close to your chest, and you might change your mind. So it kind of gives you that trigger for exploring how you want to be as you go forward in life.
Jane, I have a recurring dream and it's very, very weird. It's it's happening so often that I've actually given it a title. It's the Krispy Kreme donut catcher, right? There's this bloke.
Yeah.
I'm in a castle with all my mates. It's dark, and I'm hiding from this bloke who looks like he's the Joker, but he's titled the Krispy Kreme donut catcher. He's like this evil villain who's trying to make the mansion bright and colourful and catch us kids. What does that mean? I have it so often, and I don't understand why.
Yeah, great question. So you see him as evil, you said, but did you say he's trying to be bright and cheerful? Can you explain that a little bit more?
Yeah, so he looks like sort of the Heath Ledger Joker. Like he's a really sinister looking bloke, but he's trying to brighten up the castle but catch the kids at the same time. It happens like twice a month, this dream.
Okay, so whenever it happens, it's reflective of something that's happening the day or two before. So it's maybe something that's coming up twice a month for you. And the big thing is really to look at everyone in the dream is representing something about ourselves. So everybody's got a dark side they don't want to look at. Everybody's got a part of their personality that we point at and say, no, that's dark, that's evil. Like in Chezzy, it might be your snake. I don't want anyone to know about my secrets. They're kind of evil, whereas they're not. They're actually wonderful things that you can bring into the world. So Grant, with you, it's almost like there's this character, there's a part of myself that has to make life bright and cheerful for everybody and has to really bring that on and attract people in. But somehow I don't really feel good about that. It feels sinister. It doesn't feel... I don't like that thing that I maybe have to do about brightening and cheerfuling everybody up. I don't like it. It will be along those lines. But you call him the Krispy Kreme donut catcher.
Yeah.
So tell me about Krispy Kreme donuts.
I think it's because he's got the white makeup and it looks like the glaze of a Krispy Kreme donut. So I've gone, I'll call him the Krispy Kreme, and he's trying to catch us kids. So the Krispy
To do
Kreme
harm
donut
to you,
catcher.
like to hurt you or capture you or...
Whenever he's got close to catching us, I wake up.
Oh, right.
So I haven't
Yeah.
got to that part of the dream yet, or that story.
The waking up bit,
I think-
Jane, what does that mean, whether you're falling from the sky or the Krispy Kreme donut catcher's about to get you? Why is that a mechanism?
What usually happens is that because the fear level in the dream is so high at that point, and when you feel fear in a dream, your body does actually release the adrenaline and the cortisol, and it pumps into your actual body, and that can jumpstart you awake. And that's why you can wake up from a nightmare like that, and you can feel like, oh, I've got goosebumps, I'm sweating, I'm really scared. It actually feels like something's really happened because your body's on that high alert. So it's the fear that, that jumps you out of it. But I was interested, you talked about the glaze on the Krispy Kreme donuts themselves and the white makeup on, the Joker. So there's this feeling of what's on the surface, the glaze, the white makeup, and what's underneath. What's on the surface having to be bright and cheerful, and what's underneath, don't really like this.
Yeah. Is it saying I should become like a operator at 7-Eleven or something as well?
Maybe you.
Definitely not.
No.
Maybe it's telling you to stay away from Krispy Kreme.
Yeah, could it be just that simple? Like Krispy Kremes are bad, don't eat me. Could it be that simple?
Well, it could be, what you've got there in essence is a chase and run away dream, isn't it? I'm being chased by something, I've got to run away. And that is a common dream for anybody, all of us that have it from time to time when there's something we don't want to face in life, so we run away from it. Something we're frightened of, we run away. So, yeah, it could be anything from, as you say, I want to run away from the fact that I really shouldn't be eating Krispy Kreme donuts, or I want to run away from the fact that I have to be colourful and bright and cheerful and I don't like it, or whatever it is. When I talk to someone about a dream, we sit down for an hour and go into every aspect of the dream. So we're just looking at like little tips around these dreams we're talking about today.
Jane, can I ask a question based on the Krispy Kreme donut catcher? Both George and my job is to entertain others, where you have to turn your personality up, and everyone has an expectation that you're fun, you're energetic, and you have to put on a show for a lot of people, which is sometimes hard to maintain full time. I wonder if there's a little bit of that in George's interpretation.
Yeah, I think there's a lot in that, particularly of all characters picking on the Joker too, because you both have to, in your profession, make light of things and joke as well. So that part of it. So yes, it's that difference between how I have to appear at work and what I have to do, and what you both do extremely well, and a deeper part of yourself that doesn't want to be doing it that way, doesn't want to have what you are both judging yourself as having, a kind of superficial glaze, all the white makeup.
Yeah. That is very good.
That's what it feels like. That's powerful stuff.
Sorry, I've got a question. I often end up in lots of fights in my dream, so I don't have the being chased a lot. This could be maybe I don't want you to go there, but I turn violent. Like I have to protect my family and my or loved ones. Does that mean I'm not a violent person, though?
No, I could absolutely predict that, as well as knowing it. So what happens is that if you repress your dark side emotions, let's say you don't want to be violent in waking life, but you might be extremely angry sometimes and think, actually, I'm not going to express this. I'm just going to be patient and let this pass, or any feelings like that. We are taught and raised to believe that we shouldn't express our anger, or shouldn't speak violently, or shouldn't do harm to other people. And truth in that, and there's also, there are good cases for actually saying, well, actually, I am a bit angry about this or whatever, and expressing ourselves, but we tend to repress it. And then in our dreams, because our dreams are processing our unconscious experiences as well as our conscious, our dreams are processing, but what about this anger? You really want to throw this, and so because you repress and repress and repress, our anger in our dreams comes out magnified beyond anything you would ever express or do in waking life. Wow. So on the one hand, it's a kind of release. It's like a bit of a safety valve, a pressure valve. And on the other hand, it can be, posing a question to yourself and say, okay, obviously I'm repressing a lot of feelings that could escalate into violence, even though I would never be like that in waking life. Is there something I should be doing to explore those feelings and just say to people around me, or say to myself, it's okay to be upset, it's okay to be angry, whatever it is.
So what you're saying is, don't give my wife a new knife set for Christmas.
Not when I'm asleep.
Ask her about her dreams first.
Yeah, because I wake up in the mornings and it's been so full on, such a big battle.
What are you physically fighting someone off, or
you know how I say to you, I'm like, oh gosh, this person broke into our house and was trying to attack the family, and I'm the one who has to defend. And so I pull out some kung fu moves and then a knife, and it gets like real full-on violent, and it scares me.
So what's happening there is, particularly because you've described basically home invasion, or people getting onto your territory, or threatening your family. So there's that sense there of your personal boundaries being violated, people are getting, so the dreams may also be coming up at times when you feel that, not about your family, but just about you. where you feel people have stepped a bit too close into your personal territory, or not particularly respected your boundaries, your personal boundaries. Sometimes that kind of dream can also come up when you're about to get sick, a virus or a bug, and your body picks up, we have an invader here, and we have a bacteria, we have a virus. So you can have that too, but generally it's around that. And your, Chezzy, the way that you are up and protecting your family shows that the dream is also then processing how you feel about how what you have to do in order to protect yourself as well as your family. You can often look at a dream and look for two opposites. One dream interpretation tip is to look for a dream and look two opposites. So you've got, for example, one is fighting back and maybe being violent or protective, and the other one is being overrun by people coming across your border. So those two opposites can say that's the issue you're dealing with in the dream. It's the issue with how much do I just let stuff in and how much do I defend myself.
That's interesting. The runaway dreams, we've all had those. What about when you can't run away? When you physically, you're running on the spot, or you can't get away. You either can't yell and your voice goes, and you can't escape that person. That is so frustrating and deeply painful when it happens in your dream.
It is, and that's been, I don't have it so much now. In fact, I can't remember the last time I had it, but it was one of my most recurring dreams as well. So it will often come, there's two aspects of it. The first one is if you really are deep in a dream and you've got that feeling of, I sometimes call it the slow-mo dream, where everything, you're trying to lift your legs and they're so heavy and it all goes slow and you just can't get there, and you maybe end up crawling on the floor, and it's also difficult. And it can come up when either you're beginning to doubt what you want to do, so it's like the hesitation magnified enormously. I don't really want to do this thing, so I'm really resisting it. That can be one aspect of it. So you might wake up and think, well, what is my goal? What is it I'm trying to achieve in waking life, and why might I actually be have some self-doubt there? And the other way is it can be something that, you do want to achieve this thing, but there are your own unconscious beliefs limiting you, holding you back, and the dream is showing that. So all the details in the rest of the dream can show you, when you really analyze it, what it is exactly that's holding you back or what you're doubting. Now, I want to come back to that, but just as an aside, if sometimes that kind of feeling comes up, you mentioned not being able to shout out or scream out. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that happens when you're jolted out of a dream so quickly that you're half awake, half asleep, and your vocal muscles aren't there, and because when you're dreaming, your brain stops your motor muscles, including your voice, from moving, basically stopping you from getting out of bed and acting out your dreams and hurting yourself. So you're totally immobilized, and that's called sleep paralysis. But if you kind of, half of you wakes up out of a dream, but the rest of you is still in the dream and got this sleep paralysis going on, you can dream that you're stuck, that you can't move, that you've got a heavy weight in your chest, and you definitely can't shout out. And if you have that feeling, if you're vaguely aware and you just say to yourself, just breathe, just because in a few seconds' time, I'm going to be able to shout out, I'm going to be able to move. So that's a different thing. But going back to the slow-mo dream, when it's totally a dream and totally happening in the dream, it's not you half waking up. There's an amazing thing you can do, and I did this in my life, and it's part of dreamalchemy. So what I do is you interpret the dream, and then you do step 2 as dreamalchemy, which is you create an exercise based on the symbols or the dynamics in your dream to actually reprogram your unconscious mind or rewire your brain to overcome limited beliefs or systems that your dream has shown. Okay, so if you've got this dream of the slow-mo, I just can't get there, and you wake up and you think, I do want to achieve this thing, and I acknowledge that there's obviously a huge resistance, a huge unconscious resistance to me doing this, then you wake up and you close your eyes, you stay awake, but you reimagine the dream. And in this example, you get back in the dream and then you suddenly realize, actually my legs are really light and I can move really easily, and maybe even not just walking or running, maybe I can kind of dance or skip. And you change the end of the dream so that you actually reverse it and you get to where you're going, and you bring up all the emotions of the opposite emotions of feeling resistant and, pulled back. You get the emotions of the joy of getting there. And it sounds really simple, but what it does is, A, it tends to stop the dream happening again, but B, more importantly, it tells the part of your unconscious mind that has picked this symbolism of the slow-mo that no, that's not how you are. Actually, you want to achieve this very smoothly without any resistance. And what will happen when you wake up is that over the next few days, you will surprise yourself in things that you say or do that are slightly different. So, places or situations where you might otherwise be a bit resistant or have a bit of self-doubt, you suddenly notice that you don't have the resistance, or the doubt has gone, or you put yourself out there more. Yeah, it's
That's
I
incredible.
hesitate to use the word magical, but yeah, it does work that way.
So you
working
can
with your dreams that way.
You can hack your system and rewire your brain to not be afraid of whatever that limiting factor is again. Just to explain again, how do you get back into the dream? Do you fully wake up, recognize you're in the dream, and then try and get back into the same dream to rewire it?
No. Good question. So you don't actually go back to sleep. You don't actually dream again. You visualize it. So you're awake. And that's an added good thing because you know you're safe. So if it's a dream about something really scary, Krispy Kreme donut catcher, for example, you're awake and you're in control. So it's all good. And you can do it. Some people who are not very good at visualization choose other ways of doing it. So they might write a story which encapsulates the same idea, or they might paint a picture. So there are other ways you can do it. But for everyone that can visualize, it's the sort of strongest, quickest way to do it.
I've got ADHD, and so I'm really quite good at visualization if I can sit still. Does that mean that my dreams could be more vivid than somebody who can't visualize, or do we all have the same potential?
Oh, that's a great question too.
Thank you.
If you're a highly visual person, your dreams may be more visual because in the very basics, you're processing the experiences for the last 1 to 2 days. So if you're processing a lot of very visual experiences, your experiences will be more visual. We can, of course, have experienced all the senses in our dreams, or the 5 major senses. And sometimes people say, I've never smelt in a dream. And the moment you know you can, within a few days you have a dream. Oh, yes, I can smell.
Have.
So, whatever it is that you're processing, the same area of your brain that will say smell that smell or see that thing, that area of the brain will light up. If you put electrodes on the brain, you can actually pick up, in that sense, what senses you're dreaming in, because you can see these bits lighting up. The brain doesn't know you're dreaming; it thinks it's awake. So, yes, I would say that visual people like you, Chezzy, possibly do dream more vividly and with more visuals than other people who may have more sounds or.
Yeah, sounds. I don't have great hearing, I'll be honest, but I can smell things and very visual. So. Don't call out to me while I'm asleep.
I don't want to try and one-up Chez here, but I'm going to try. What about it, now? Correct me. Maybe I'm whacked out here, and this can't happen, and it's not true. But very occasionally, only a couple of times in my life, I'm aware that I'm in a dream, and I can tailor make that dream a little bit as I go. So therefore, I'm fully aware that I'm in a dream, and I acknowledge that it's okay. This is a dream, and I can very slightly adjust the narrative of that dream intentionally.
Yeah. That's fabulous. Are you aware at the same time that you're in your bedroom that you've also got a waking life?
I'm aware of it's a dream. I'm aware I'm in a dream. So my consciousness goes, okay, this is a dream. I'm okay with this. I know I'm a bird in a tree, and that's fine. In fact, I'm choosing to go over there in this dream. It's an only very minor manipulation of the dream, but I fully come around to realize I'm in an active dream and I can participate in that dream.
That is fantastic. So that's lucid dreaming.
Wow.
What does that mean?
Yeah. So that's the name. That's the official name for what you're doing there. So lucid dreaming is when you're in a dream and suddenly you go, hang on a minute, this is a dream. And I know that I'm dreaming, and I know that I also have a waking life. It's like I'm aware of 2 realities, but I can change the the dream. And you're quite right, Grant. You know, you it's very hard to change everything in a dream. It's more like little tweaks.
Yes. Yeah.
Or changes, I think, because the dream tends to take over from time to time. And it's a lot of people work hard at practicing how to become lucid, and there are techniques you can do. And a lot of people take it really seriously and also say that there are positives such as you can do your dreamalchemy visualizations, like the one of not running with heavy limbs but running lightly. You can really bring that full into the dream and do that there. And I say, I mean, I occasionally have lucid dreams too, but I think if you do that, it's great if it's just once or twice a week. If it's more than that, I would beware, because it's the moment you change the dream, you're stopping your brain and your mind from doing the natural processing that it needs to do, from letting the dream drama, complete the storyline it was going, because that is the processing that you're going through.
Yeah.
Wow.
I have had some fabulous lucid dreams, and I'm also what I call a really stunning failed lucid dreamer, because I will have the kind of dream where everything's going along fine and it looks perfectly normal, even though if you were looking in, you go, clearly that's a dream. You know, there's all sorts of really stupid stuff going on, which is not waking life, but I'm totally sucked in. I'm in the dream. And some dream character will say to me, Jane, do you think you're dreaming? And I go, no, of course not. Are you sure? Because, you use the test.
They're inviting you to be lucid and you're saying no.
Yeah. And I will apply the acid test, which is I'll come up on my tiptoes and I'll flap my arms and I'll go to fly, because I know that in a lucid dream I can fly. Yeah. And I'll do this and nothing happens. So I'll say, see, I'm not dreaming. And then I'll wake up and I go, sucked in again.
So that is so interesting.
Why is flying associated with lucid dreaming so strongly? Because I fly a lot in my dreams.
Yeah, it's more that when you've had a lucid dream, you realise that that's one of the most fun things you can do.
Yes!
Because
it's a freedom, discovering a freedom.
Yeah. So it's so amazing that most people, when they become lucid, what shall I do? What shall I do? Oh, I'm going to fly. That's because exactly it is just so stunning.
This is a really random question, but when I had, I was diagnosed with PTSD for a period 8 years ago. And I had very visual dreams then, and I actually tried to prevent myself for a period of sleeping, because in my dreams I would die, and it would happen quite a bit. Like I'd fall off a building, and where you said that you would normally wake up. Yeah. Is that common? Because I know that dreams can I whenever I woke up, I felt like that I had died. It was such an emotional experience. George is holding his chest. I'm about to cry.
No, that's right. There's a couple of really key things there, and one is that people that do have PTSD, sometimes their dreams are literal replays of the original trauma, and there are things that you can do to stop that. Other people that have had PTSD will have dreams that are still processing the trauma, which is you're still experiencing on a day-to-day level, but they're more symbolic dreams, and that's probably what was happening for you there. But what you've also
I don't have the dreams anymore. Like I haven't had them for a long time, but there was a period there where I kept falling off buildings or being in explosions, and I would die. So then there'd be nothing.
Yeah, I think one of the important things that you said there is that we can be our own worst enemies in not wanting to go to sleep. We can have a bad dream that we don't understand, and that can be, or any nightmare, and we definitely don't want to go to sleep the next night because we don't want to have that dream. And then you end up with not only a sleep deficit, which is unhealthy, of course, but a dream deficit as well. And the moment you've got a dream deficit, you have not been doing the processing that you need to do to be emotionally, mentally, and spiritually and physically healthy. So you kind of get into this vicious cycle. But if we were just to look at the dreams themselves as from a very long way back and say, well, you're generally falling in your dream or dying in your dream, or there's been explosions. Sometimes we dream of ourselves dying when we are actually going through massive change in life. It's like out with the old, on with the new. The old me is dying, or the old attitudes are dying, or something is coming to an end. And so the dreams may have been exploring that in the light of the traumas that you were experiencing back then.
Absolutely.
Jane, you mentioned if someone is suffering from a trauma and that trauma is playing out in their dreams, that there is a way to fix that or prevent that or stop that, did you say?
Yes, there are, because even when the dreams are actually replaying the original trauma happened, a number of years ago, for example, and the dream is happening now today. So the dream is almost like it's like an old record or an old movie or an old film. It's not the event itself. It's the film of it, the movie of it, the record of it, the file of it, the copy of it. And once you explain to someone like that is not the event, it's the copy. And guess what? We can change that copy. We can change the way that dream plays, and then we go back to something similar to what we did with the slow-mo. You take the original trauma that you're dreaming about and you change the storyline of the dream to get a positive outcome. And even though you explain to the person this isn't not acknowledging the trauma you went through, and it's not changing what happened in the past, it's changing the dream. So the more that you practice the different version of the dream, the more when that dream starts, it goes into, we go into the new version of the dream here, because you trained your brain to do that. And that can also give you the reprieve from the intense emotions of that kind of dream, to be able to deal with those separately rather than in the dream state.
Well, that's pretty healing and powerful thing to learn how to do. What about the opposite? Just say you want to dream about something cool. Just say you want to dream about that person you just met, or you want to dream about the greatest race you've ever been in. Or I always remember my mum when she was putting me to bed when I was a little kid, saying that she used to try as a kid, as a young lady, to try and think about what she wanted to dream about so it would happen when she closed her eyes and finally fell asleep. Is there a way that we can manipulate going into a dream that we'd all love to have?
Yes, there is. It's not always successful. It's called dream incubation. And so it works on the principle that your dreaming mind is processing your last 1 to 2 days. So you really make those last 1 to 2 days as full as you can of the thing that you would like to dream of, or you keep stopping and imagining what you would like to dream of, or you go around and you really notice and find detail, beautiful things around you. So you really focus on the kind of elements that you would like to bring into your dream. I did an experiment once a very long time ago, like 30 years ago when I started this work. I did a lot of dream research with people, and I got them to try to get a blue star into, was it a blue star? No, it was a marble. It was because I did a blue star one as well, but sorry, to get a child's marble into their dream. So I got them to focus on the marble, think about marbles during the day, go to sleep going, I want to dream about a marble. And because your dream is processing what's on your mind in the last 1 to 2 days, some of them dreamt about marbles. But what was interesting was a lot of their dreams were problems with marbles, like, where did that marble go? How big is that marble? No. Where is my marble?
It was nightmares.
What it really showed was all the perfectionists amongst them and the not perfect, all their attitudes about doing this experiment and wanting to get it right and wanting to find the marble.
Because I'd like to, I don't know, have a dream about owning a Ferrari or having a golden toilet in my house. I don't know, something just stupid.
But you wake up a lot and you're unhappy with your dreams, aren't you? Like they have a big effect on you.
I find that sometimes the effect of my dreams can linger a lot through, particularly, half a day. Maybe it might be something that's down to your insecurities. Maybe it's like
I slept with Dr. Phil.
Chezzy sleeping with Dr. Phil.
Really upset.
A lot of my to get personal, a lot of my recurring dreams, can often be about Chezzy leaving me, or abandonment, or a relationship breaking down and being left alone. So
those particular ones, for example, are really common for a lot of people, their partner leaving them. And, even though you explain when you wake up, no, I wouldn't leave you. The dream isn't about what it seems to be about. So the general theme of that kind of dream is someone's left me, I've been abandoned, I've been betrayed. And those kind of dreams can be when we abandon a part of ourselves or we betray ourselves. So to take a really simple and stupid example, but still a valid example, if you decide you're not eating chocolate ever again and eat some chocolate, you may dream of a kind of betrayal or an abandonment because you have betrayed your decision, your commitment not to eat chocolate. So then work that up into bigger and bigger scenarios. And, when we may judge ourselves, or unconscious mind judges ourselves in the dream of, you're not sticking to your commitment, you didn't do that, you didn't do that, then you can have that kind of dream of the betrayal. So, for example, if you've got Chezzy, who may also represent your inner female, you know, your creative, your spiritual side, you may have that dream come up when you've had to be very outer world orientated and logical and sensible, and the creative part of yourself has just abandoned you and left you to your own devices. So it can be a wake-up call to, actually, I want to bring that part of myself back into my life, or to look at, you know, what you've what commitments you may be judging yourself for breaking. And, you know, we all go through life changing for good reasons. And so sometimes our unconscious mind can come up and go, you didn't used to be like that. You know, you've just broken your commitment. You go, yeah, it was a good step. I've changed. I've made a really good change. But your unconscious mind, no, you've betrayed. You've betrayed what you believed since you were 3 years old. How dare you do this to me? So all of these kind of things can be happening. But I think you put, you know, the key thing that you said there, Grant, was that the emotion of a dream can really stay with you, you know, for half a day, and it can influence how you're feeling and how you interact with people. So the key is, in the absence of being able to interpret your dream, is to do that waking up and changing the ending of a dream, just to change the you know, the emotional imprint of it during the day. And although there are specific methods for doing that revisualization of the dream, in general, as long as you don't kill something off in a revisualization, it would generally step some way towards reprogram your unconscious mind. Just on that note, I said don't kill something off. Say you're dreaming of a Krispy Kreme donut, and you think,
I'm regretting
okay,
this now.
You think, okay, I'll wake up, and the way to change this dream is to shoot a poisoned arrow, and he's gone. The trouble is, if you do that, everybody and everything in the dream represents something about you. So if you kill off someone in a dream, you've killed off an aspect of yourself. You've made a hole in your psyche. So when you rerun, when you're awake, a better version of the dream, don't actually finish something off or kill it, transform it, change it into something better. So you would change the Krispy Kreme donut catcher maybe into something more beautiful.
A puppy, like
deeper.
A little fluffy puppy.
Yeah.
Hey, Jane,
a puppy with a deep heart. Yeah.
Beautiful. In a day's work, you speak to people about, you know, go-karts and snakes and Krispy Kreme donuts. What are your dreams like after a day of hearing other people's weird and wacky dreams?
Good question, John.
Yeah, it's a great question. Sometimes I have been so close to the people whose dreams I'm working with that I will dream of aspects of that in my own dreams because they're part of my experiences. But on the whole, I had a lot of recurring dreams when I was a child and younger person. And now most of my dreams are, sometimes they're awful and I, you know, can wake up and go, I'm glad I knew that, and work them out. But on the whole, they're often quite lovely, like walking and discovering an ocean with dolphins and whales and wonderful things, which are really, really uplifting. And I wake up from those dreams always feeling very refreshed. But at least when I do have a difficult or emotionally traumatic dream, because I'm well versed in this, I can wake up and work out what it's about and make the changes and be glad that I had the dream for what it taught me. So I'm not in that situation that a lot of people are in, where you then keep having the recurring dream because you haven't been able to work it out and transform it. So my darker dreams are less frequent because of that.
Are you saying that recurring dreams that's work for us to do? We have to figure out what the purpose of that dream is before it will go away? Yeah,
because some recurring dreams are kind of happy, but most of them have unresolved endings. You know, and then this went wrong, or I didn't get there, or whatever. So they're reflecting waking life situations where the same is happening. So when a waking life situation is unresolved, there's the dream that goes with it. And then next time that situation comes up, there's a dream that goes with it. So really one of the most powerful places to start, if you're going to get help with interpreting a dream or learn how to do it yourself, is to start with one of your recurring dreams, because it is reflecting a recurring unresolved waking life issue. So you get on top of that, you resolve it, and well, that sort of, you get all the dominoes falling down. You know, it changes a lot of things.
How do you feel about the spiritual side of life, things like past lives or ghosts, can they ever have an impact on your dream? Could I have a realization of a past life? Do you buy into any of that?
It's a really interesting question. My personal belief is that we do have past lives, and I'm a deeply spiritual person. But if you have a dream, say you have a dream and you think, yeah, that had to be a past life because there I was in the Middle Ages fighting a battle, wearing middle-aged clothes, it often turns up that I'm having a battle about being middle-aged and, it's symbolic. And the moment that you say that to someone, they go, oh, yeah, that's actually what's happening to me. So my take on that would be that if you have a past, because our dreams are processing the last 1 to 2 days, look at this life, look at what the issues are that you're dealing with now, because your dream is more likely to be going through that than to be going through a past life. It might then go, okay, that you've been through this before, let's introduce some ideas about this. So it could, but I tend to focus on that. And with the ghost or the spirit one, again, there are times I do believe when people who have passed are in our dreams and we are in that dream state, so we are more able to connect. We've got less barriers and we can connect in that way. But I always put a caution there too, because part of the grieving process, as we all know, is anger. Why did you leave me? Why did you die? And so we can often dream about people that have passed and they're quite out of character. They can be really angry with us. They can accuse us of all sorts of things. And people can be very distressed and say, I've had a visitation from my partner who's died and, they gave me all this abuse and they gave me this and they gave me that. And they believe it. And it's not. It's you grappling with dealing with your grief.
Yes.
So, I always put that caution in. I had a dream when I was 13, my grandfather died. And I wasn't very close to him because, I was born in England and the relationships weren't that close. Yeah. And he died when I was 13. And I had a dream a few days after that I was collecting my little brother from school and just walking along the road, and this motorbike drove up, and there was a man on it with a big heavy visor of his helmet, and as he drew up he lifted the helmet and it was my grandfather. Now he never drove a motorbike, he never had a visor, that just wasn't him, but he said to me in the dream, it's me. I've come in your dream so as not to frighten you, because if I came in waking life, this would frighten you. I'm just here to say, is there anything that you want to know? Because I can tell you now before I have to go. So in the dream, I said, well, I just wanted to know whether there was life after death, but I don't have to ask you that now because I can see this. And he put down his visor and he drove off. So at 13, I woke up and I thought, yep, my grandfather definitely visited me in my dream.
Wow.
As an adult, I'm not so sure because, on one level, my dream was processing, do I believe in life after death? On another level, my dream was processing, there are other scary things happening in my life at that time. Maybe my dreams are a safe space to explore these things, and maybe that's what the dream was about. But I suspect also that he was there in some element. And maybe, who knows, maybe, I can't really think back to being 13, whether that was when I was already interested in dreams as a very tiny child, but that might have been where it really ticked over. And at some level I thought, this dreaming thing might be with me for life.
I think that, I had a dream. I had a friend pass away many years ago, a friend that I worked with at Parliament House. And I think I've spoken about this and he came to visit me. Actually, it would have been probably 2 weeks after his funeral, and he just popped up in my dream and he said, I've sorted out a job for you in TV, because he knew that I really wanted to get into TV at that point. And I had a bit of a chat, and then we had just a hug, and he said goodbye and then kind of walked off. It was very vivid, and I woke up in the morning feeling like I'd really had seen him. And he had said to me, that he'd sorted out, a job for me, and that, and I'm sure he said Channel 7, will be in contact and you must say yes. And it was literally the next day that I got the call from Channel 7, and they said, we've just found your CV at the back of the filing cabinet and we're looking for somebody for the Chief of Staff desk. Do you think you'd like to come in?
That is absolutely fabulous.
It's a great story, isn't it? It's a great story.
And it always stuck with me because I remember thinking, this can't be a coincidence. I had to actually see him. I felt like I saw him. I gave him a big hug. You know, it smelt like him.
He gave you clear instructions that ended up
He
coming
said I had
true
to say
within 24
yes.
hours.
Yeah.
I would say, yes, he was probably there. Then if I put on my other hat as a sort of super scientist, I'd say in that dream you might have been processing someone that died suddenly and didn't live the opportunities that that person wanted to live. And so you in that dream decided, you know what, there's things that I want to do that I haven't done before, and I'm now ready to let go of my resistance to it. And somewhere the cogs turned in the universe and your application moved from hidden at the back somewhere because you were ready for it to come forward. Either way, it's magical. Either way, it's brilliant. But I suspect he was there.
I'm just.
You do struggle to walk the fine line between scientist and spiritual person, don't you?
I've got one.
I'm very careful.
I've got one more thing now that's just because that really made me, that moment really made me really interested in dreams. And then I came up with this other trick, which I just remembered that I have. But we've had lots of friends over the years who can't have children. And so they've struggled to have children. And then just one night, it's very bizarre, one night, and it's happened probably 7 times to 7 different couples, hasn't it, Grant? I'm looking at you.
Yeah.
I will have a dream where this person will be holding a baby, and I'll say to them, and very gingerly at the start, I'll say, you know, I think that it's going to happen for you. I saw you with a, you know, baby girl. And as I said, 7 times. It'd be close to 7 times.
I've been there for a number of them, and it's mind blowing.
Yeah,
and
it's always turned out.
It
to
does.
have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is my wife a witch?
What you're probably doing wonderfully and magnificently is because, you know, in the dream states, our minds are more wide open. If you're that way inclined to be able to reach out, that you may have been picking up on what was happening to them physiologically or even spiritually. You know, people, I'm really ready for this now. So picking up on that level, and it certainly does happen, and you're absolutely doing it. And I always just add, I always have to walk that little line in between for other people that are listening in, because there's a danger that people listening in can say, "Oh, my dreams are literal." They really mean what they say. I dreamt that somebody got sick and died. I'm going to have to go and say to them, you know, I think you're going to get sick and die, rather than realizing the dream is symbolic and there's something in them that they have to address. So these things absolutely happen. I wrote a book in a long way back. I think it was 1998 that Random House published it. It was called The Shape of Things to Come. And I wrote that because I had a number of dreams about the future that came true, or about the future in my life that came true at the time. And at the time I was doing I've always done a lot of talkback radio, but I was doing it back then. And it was in the days before the internet and before email. And I was starting to get letters from people saying, you know, I've never told anyone before, but I have dreams that actually come true. And I haven't told anyone because I don't want to be committed to a psychiatric institute, but I would I wonder what you think about that. And so then I had to say, well, actually, this does happen to me too. So I then said about a survey, and I was able to, because I was on Talkback Radio on ABC, I was able to ask for people to come forward anonymously and take part in my research. So as a result of that, I wrote that book, The Shape of Things to Come, covering those kind of dreams. And I think I found in the end that rather than us seeing what's happening in the future, it was more that people are picking up on what's happening now and therefore will pan out in the future. But I've always just been so super cautious about, you know, because those dreams and those situations where we have those dreams are such a tiny proportion of all the other dreams we have, you know, 5 dreams a night for a whole life, that are symbolically meaningful about our inner world, and that we can overlook that magic if we always think that the dreams are literal.
Yeah, and I totally get that, because I also have a lot of dreams that I don't trust at all, like home invasions and people coming to get us and Grant running away because he's late for a go-kart race. And I'm left to
All the
defend the
important
family.
stuff.
You're left with the Krispy Kreme donuts. Yeah, I know.
All right, so I've been diagnosed as being afraid to have a lack of control. Chezzy, I believe,
Has hidden anger.
Hidden anger, but also over responsibility for looking after the household, I think.
Oh, well, that is true.
And I just don't need to be happy all the time.
Yes. You need to stop being so jolly.
And you need to change your diet.
Oh, big
So-
time, yeah. Or I'll turn into a Krispy Kreme donut.
That's incredible. I could talk to you for so many hours, but I know I'm looking at the time.
We'll
and
talk to you in our dreams,
I
Jane.
know, and our daughter just came in. She's like, "How much longer?" Because she's minding the little kids.
But she'll love listening to this, though. 'cause
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, I think, yeah. You have such wonderful dreams yourself, Jane. You're talking about dolphins and oceans and reefs and things like that. I wish dreams were kind of like, like a Zoom invite where you could just bring other people into your dream. Like,
Oh, yes.
that'd be so
That
cool.
would be fabulous. That would be absolutely fabulous.
Yours sounds so divine. Can you please take us into yours if that ever becomes a future function?
Please.
I will remember. I hope I live long enough for that technology to develop because I'll be right in there.
You might have the technology in your brain.
Yes.
Maybe harness
I'll
the
work
power
on
of
that. I'll
dreams.
work on that in a dream tonight. Yeah.
Thank you.
Wow, Jane, that was absolutely so fascinating. Please give yourself a plug again. Your website is?
It's janeteresa.com. That's Teresa without an H.
And find one of her 9 books available, no doubt, on there. If anything is sort of
I'm going to go buy them all
tickled
today.
your fancy, we've touched on so much stuff that I know our audience would absolutely love. So thank you for sharing your wisdom, both your scientific side and your spiritual side. We really do thank you for that.
Yeah, we do appreciate that.
Thank you for inviting me to this beautiful chat. I really enjoyed it.
You take care, and we'll
great.
see you in our
Thanks, Jane.
dreams.
Thanks, Jane.
Bye.
Bye.
Holy smokes.
That's some good gear, isn't it?
Oh my
beautiful.
gosh. I'm going to really try to not kill anyone in my dreams tonight.
Because
need
I do
to-
lie next to you, remember? So if it becomes physical, then I'm the first thing
I
there.
wonder if it's because of your snoring. Because Sailor said to me this morning, she said, Dad really snores so loud. And when we all stayed in the room last week, she said, like, it was very disruptive.
That's because we're on holiday and
Yeah.
Dad was drinking a little bit more than normal. So Dad's palate gets a little bit looser than normal and it flaps away as he's trying to breathe. So
But I wonder if that's what makes me angry. Mostly.
it was tough. You got to remember, we were on holiday. You were stuck in the hotel with the baby.
I wasn't killing anyone, though, in those dreams.
Okay, just last night? Okay. I remember having those dreams where, say, for instance, you cheat on me or run off with Javier, the helicopter pilot or something.
Or Dr. Phil.
Or Dr. Phil.
Javier, the helicopter pilot, does not sound like me.
It used to make me angry. I couldn't even talk to you for like most of the day until it sort of eventually went away. Like, did you ever have that as a kid? Did you ever have that?
No,
Is it just me?
just you.
And I'd like hate you. I would hate you.
No,
and
I
I'd never say it
remember.
because I know it was just a dream. And I was like, I can't talk to you.
Yeah, I remember.
It was so real and vivid that
Yeah.
you would bring it into real life.
Yeah, and you try not to let it affect you until it eventually goes away. But like, I would literally hate you for what you did in the dream, which was not real.
So now we know that you were hating on yourself. You were
Yeah.
hating because you were doing the wrong thing by yourself.
Which, when she spoke about the contrast between, say, you're a creative and us, and she was like,
Yeah,
oh, hang
that's
on,
your
here we-
feminine side. That's why you.
Here we go. Because sometimes our career, you're having to do things that you don't really want to do. Maybe it's for others. We're a part of a big corporate machine. They're deciding my destiny. However, I have got this creative drive that's not being, serviced. Well, that made sense.
Or you're abandoning yourself because you
Giving
had
up
one
on
too
your
many,
creative dreams.
one too many chocolates, one too many Canadian clubs,
Yep. One too many. Yep. True.
one too many Krispy Kremes.
Oh,
That is
gosh,
a
why did
gr-
I say that?
That's an excellent story.
That
It's
is
a
a great
genuine
story.
dream, though.
But mate, if it's a genuine dream, all our dreams are slightly wacko.
I actually had so many other questions to ask her. Like, what does it
Same.
mean if you're pregnant and you have twins? What does it mean if your car breaks down?
Teeth falling out.
Yes.
That happens to me a lot.
Hair
Teeth falling
falling
What about
out.
on the edge of a building and then you're about to fall and then you just wake up?
Yeah.
You're done.
Oh, I've never had that. I
That
don't think.
sudden shock of like, oh my gosh.
I have that. And that's what she said. You actually pumps your body through natural cortisone.
Yeah.
Cortisol?
Cortisol and adrenaline. Yeah, I've
wakes
never
you
had
back
that, but I do remember falling off a building and actually falling.
How weird, though, that you can have a biological response to a made-up imagination.
What do you think a wet dream is?
Oh, very good point. Yeah, I noticed not even I was going to go there with her. She sounded so proper and so like
She's so sweet. We
academic.
didn't need to.
She said, thanks for being on this beautiful podcast.
Yeah.
She hasn't listened to any of the other episodes.
She has.
I wanted to talk about George spoofing himself at
Don't.
night time so much, but I couldn't bring myself to do it.
I sent her an episode of the podcast.
Which one did you say?
Well, I had to
Jesus.
pick one very carefully, so I'm not going
Yes.
to tell you which one.
I hope you edited a lot of it
Oh,
out.
I did.
It's
No,
an
I think
episode we
I
haven't
was
released
Lovely.
yet.
Oh, she
She's
was
like the
lovely.
Mary Poppins of dreams.
I know. I want to do the work with her. Anyway, the dream harnessing, because it does concern me that I have been having these quite violent, like people coming in, and I'm never worried about people breaking into our house because we've got 47 cameras.
Do
around.
look at yourself as the protector of the family, though.
Yeah, I do.
Because ever since we met, and I broke my back very early on in our relationship, just as we started, you've taken on the carer role,
Yeah.
and you've never cast that off, even though you don't need to do that anymore. But you still feel, because of the trauma of that period, you still feel fundamentally responsible for the safety of this family. And I reckon that's why you have that dream.
And also, yeah, it's like, where were we going the other
Unless
day?
that's
And
too
I was
literal.
carrying all the bags, and you're like, give me the bags. And I was like, no, because of your back. Yeah.
It's
And I
a
was like,
perfect example where you feel like you have to carry the load even when you don't have to carry the load.
yeah.
Yeah.
So the moral of this story is don't ever break into my house when I'm asleep because I can get quite violent.
You're not well, now I'll be sleeping with one eye open, that's for sure.
I'm not a violent person at all. But I'm
George, did you want to ask about naughty dreams? I did.
No.
I wasn't brave enough.
No, I
I'm glad
wasn't going to
you
go there
didn't.
because I haven't really had any. I lie. I have, yes, absolutely.
Oh,
But I didn't want to ask about it.
No, it doesn't need to be like the full deal, but just even sexy dreams.
Does it mean, am I going to get with that person one day?
Dr. Phil with his snakes.
That's
What's up?
gross.
He's a big anaconda.
My anaconda don't walk not unless you got buns, hon.
I was waiting for you to say, remember the Jeff Jans?
Jeff Jans.
oh,
She had a dirty
God.
dream about the chef
Yeah.
Jeff Jans. You won't know who he is because that's from a while ago.
Yeah.
Has this story been told on the podcast before? I think, yeah.
I was very
But you can't tell me
embarrassed.
that you're going, like, maybe, look, I've done this. I'm lying there, feeling good, going, about to go to sleep, going, you know what, I really feel like a little bit of a sexy dream. How do I bring that on? Like, just nothing too outrageous, nothing too crazy.
I'm laughing because you wake up, you're half awake.
Shezzy, have you been there while Grant's having a sexy dream?
No, because he gets all in my face and he's
Grant
like,
gets
well, we've
physical.
spoken about this, the sleep shagging. We should have asked her about this.
Why didn't we ask you about sleep shagging?
Oh my God, our kids are next door, so keep your voice down.
Sleep shagging is definitely about not having enough and then just your conscious playing it out in your dreams where it's unlimited. So
That is not
If it's
true.
end of world,
That is not true.
It's end of world. I'm never going to sleep in a room with you two.
No,
Mate,
yeah.
my best mate.
No wonder I'm getting violent because you're trying.
He's trying to keep me at bay. Jesse,
trying
why
to-
are you standing over me with a lampshade in your hand?
What do you sleep
It's
standing?
because you're trying to hump my leg.
My best mate won't share a bed with me if we had to like go camping or anything. He's like, no way. You're sleeping over there.
I'll take the dirt.
Oh, especially because you get all creepy. You're like, hello.
Oh. I just say nice, encouraging things
It's
like,
not, 'cause
"G'day,
you do
gorgeous,
this
you're
gross
so
voice.
beautiful."
It's not that you. That's hello, beautiful. Makes me feel sick. Yeah,
surely.
and I'm like,
I say, hello, you're so beautiful.
yeah, you wish.
Oh, that was really
Oh, this
great
is
topic.
great. I'm off to sleep.
Yeah, sweet dreams, y'all.
Yeah, I'm off to have a very deep sleep. I'm going to channel some kind of, great dream. Actually, all right, before we go, what would be your ideal dream? Not gross. Do a good one. What would be your ideal dream?
I really like my flying ones. I love when I'm flying. I don't know
Would
why.
you like the freedom?
I could
You
just go
like the-
anywhere, and I feel like I'm actually controlling. It's not like I'm passive in a dream, but I'm
Very
steering
freeing.
the dream. And it's always joyous and it's always wonderful. Like there's never any predators or anything. It's just you're experiencing the world from a higher level, and it's really lovely.
So
Yeah,
you're just
I
like
love those.
letting life wash over you, and you just
Yeah, you just sort of drift. You're going with the wind, I guess. You're like, you're not. There's no stress. you don't need
There's no stress. There you go.
external sources for validation or to make it better. It's just you and the wind just going with whatever is.
I think I dream about doing this podcast in the earlier days and like never mentioning the sex dolls and the sex toys. And we just never have to have those conversations with Mum. That'd be my ideal dream. I think, maybe. Or world peace as well. That's another one too.
Oh, I don't ever dream about that.
What would you
I don't know. Like just being in a big pool and similar kind of thing. Just like, at the beach and like the warm sun, everybody happy, everybody eating, eating is a big part, and drinking and laughing, bit of dancing.
Yeah, sounds like fun.
Javier comes in. Okay. Oh, no, hang on.
Not Javier, the helicopter pilot again.
That was from that movie, wasn't it? Inside Out, yeah.
Was it Inside Out? Yeah, that's right, where Mum's dreaming of
Javier.
They're sitting down at dinner and Dad's thinking of something and Mum's thinking of like the pilot
Javier.
she said no to back when she was 20. Thanks for listening, everyone. It's all true.
Everyone.
Leave us a review. We love your work.
Tell us about your dreams.
Please.
It's All True, the podcast with Grant and chezzidenyer.
Bye bye. See you next time.